Hello everybody, Dagmar Bryant, Mindset and Transformational Coach, coming to you today to talk about the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Do we want to hear the truth? Do we always speak the truth? And I would suggest that the answer to both those questions, honestly, is no, not always. I believe that by and large we should be honest in our lives because it's the kind of thing that I want to see reflected to me. I want people to be honest with me. But does that mean if I ask the question, does my bum look big in this, do I really want to hear that answer? Maybe not. It's a really loaded question and maybe not the best one, especially ladies, I know we do this more, that we should be asking. With respect to the truth, my father used to have a saying, while what you say may be true, not all truth needs to be said. Now let me give you a couple of examples around all of that. I know people who go on dating sites, dating apps. Quite often they're not very truthful about how they represent themselves. The man who is 6 foot tall, does a lot of working out, is very good looking, might actually be only 5'7" in height, have a big tummy and sits in front of the TV all day. That's not exactly being honest. The person who puts a photo up on their profile that's 20 years younger than the actual you, well, what do you think is going to happen when that person gets to meet you? If they put on their profile, oh, no, I don't want to have someone in my life who has young kids, and you say, oh, no, I don't have kids, and the first time they come round to your place, you've got two sitting in front of the telly, what are they going to think? The truth doesn't give you any being not truthful, should I say, doesn't give you any advantages. You're going to get found out. But by the same token, you can't always be truthful in all situations. What I mean by that, imagine that your boss has come up with this idea and you've had a chat in the office about it's really not such a great idea and I don't really see how this is going to work. In fact, everything's going to turn to the poop. Well, you're not going to go to the boss and say, boss, this is the crappiest idea I've ever heard, because that would mean your career goes straight down the toilet. It's the same as a direct question. If someone asks you questions, well, sometimes we can avoid the subject. But I say to you, be careful because, and I've noticed insurance companies do this, they ask you all of these questions and then they put this little caveat on it and that says, we will void the insurance policy if you didn't tell us anything that we might have needed to know. For example, if you had a criminal record and you put no in the answer to the question, well, that would be a straight out blatant untruth. But then if you didn't tell them something and you think, oh, look, I just won't pass that on and then they will never know about it. But then if you have an accident, they're going to void your policy because in some way the truth will come out. And I say to people, that's exactly what you need to be mindful of. In some way, you've got to assess how that truth is either going to come out, how that truth is going to be taken. We can be mindful of the words that we say. We don't have to tell someone they're a total dickhead, but we can say, look, maybe that idea, we could look at that, but what about this idea? And that might be a good way to get around it with your boss. I find it also interesting when people, with some of the things that they say, especially on social media, they can be so blunt. And I think sometimes we have to be a little bit gentle with how we put things. You don't just want to be saying brutal, outlandish things just because the person isn't in front of you. If that person was in front of you, would you really say those words to them? No. So I think that there's levels of the truth and how we can approach the truth. I'm not saying you shouldn't be truthful, but be mindful of how you approach things and how you handle things, because it's not only what you say, but how it is received that can have an impact on any relationships, whether they're present relationships, future relationships, and whether we're talking about work, in our home life, whatever that might happen to be. With respect to the things that, you might say, well, I don't remember something. Like, I'm sure that there's things I haven't told Glenn in my life about, but I've told him about all the important things. And if something came out in 10 years' time and I'd go, well, I really didn't remember and I didn't think it was important, well, that's probably got nothing to do with the truth. It's got to do with my memory, that I probably didn't think it was important, and it's gone into the back of the memory somewhere that it just isn't even of consequence to me. I've forgotten about it. I think we have to be, like I said, by and large, honest and truthful in how we approach things. Anyway, give me your thoughts. Tell me how you've gotten out of situations where someone's asked you a tricky, truthful question and what you've done around that. What have you perhaps not always told everybody? Or perhaps, I'm not saying that there aren't going to be secrets. Of course, everybody has secrets. And as long as we can acknowledge that within ourselves, I think that's quite okay. Think about the situations in your life and the difficult ones, how you've approached them. Have you always told the truth? I'm betting maybe not. Maybe you've kept something, but maybe there's also been a very good reason for that. It's like the "is my bum big in these jeans" question. You don't want to be hurting somebody's feelings. And that's actually one of the reasons why I absolutely love going shopping with my girls, because they're honest. And they will sometimes say, "That's a mum outfit." And I'll go, "Is that a good thing?" And they'll go, "No, it's not good or bad. It's just a mum thing." But they'll be honest with me in terms of whether it's good, because they don't have an agenda. They don't want to sell me something. There's nothing in it for them. And maybe that's a great little tip. When you're looking for the truth, go to someone who doesn't have an agenda and who will really be able to tell you an honest answer. Anyway, great talking to you today. Have a think about some of the things that have an impact in your life with respect to the truth. Share comments below. Thank you so much for listening. Talk to you again tomorrow.